I wake up every morning with a knot in my stomach, the same one I've had for years now. The alarm goes off at 7 a.m., and I drag myself out of bed, staring at the same walls I've been living in for the past 2 years. There's nothing particularly wrong with the place, it's small, but it's mine, and in this world, that's saying something. But it's hard not to look around and feel the weight of it all. The rent is due, bills are piling up, and I'm just stuck. I'm 26. I have a decent job, something I went to school for, something I fought to get. And yet, every single month, it feels like I'm living paycheck to paycheck, always scrambling for enough. Even though I've tried cutting back, no more spontaneous coffee runs, cooking instead of ordering food, expenses seem to grow faster than my income. Rent is higher, gas prices are up, and I can barely fill my fridge without worrying I've overspent. The thing is, I do everything right. I don't spend frivolously, I avoid impulse purchases, I track my expenses. But somehow, it's never enough. It's easy to feel like a failure in a world where everyone else seems to have it together. I scroll through social media and see my friends, some of whom are in the same situation, some who seem to be doing better, showing off their vacations, new furniture, or night outs. And I think, how? How do they afford these things? How do they get to live without constantly feeling like they're drowning? The idea of a vacation feels like a distant fantasy, one I can't even entertain because the simple act of living is taking up all my energy. I want to be happy for them, and I am, but it's hard not to feel that sting. Sometimes, I can't help but ask myself what I'm doing wrong. Why does it feel like I'm always behind, always struggling? If I work harder, if I push myself further, maybe I'll get ahead, but no matter how much I do, the gap between what I make and what I need continues to grow. I don't know what the solution is anymore. There are days when I wake up, and all I can think about is money. I dread looking at my bank account because I know I've spent more than I should have, and yet I can't figure out where it's going. Some days, I just feel like I'm living in a constant cycle of working to pay bills, working to survive. There's no room to dream, no space to think about anything beyond the next few weeks. I try to save, but it feels like an uphill battle. I'll put aside $50 one week, but then an unexpected expense comes up, and that's gone. It's like trying to fill a bucket with holes in it. I've had to postpone dreams, big dreams. When I was younger, I thought by 26 I'd have things figured out. I thought I'd be moving to a new city, maybe starting a career I was passionate about, or even just living in a place that didn't make me feel like I'm one missed paycheck away from disaster. But instead, I'm here, stuck in a cycle of paying off small debts, barely making enough to cover my rent, and postponing anything that requires more than a few $100s. Travel, something I've always wanted to do, is at the top of the list. I can't tell you how many times I've planned trips, researched flights, found affordable options, only to cancel them when I realize it's just not feasible. I'll try to remind myself that it's temporary, that one day, I'll be able to take that trip to the mountains or visit a friend across the country. But some days, that future seems so far away, it feels like a pipe dream. What am I working toward if I can't even do the basic things that bring me joy? I've learned to cope in small ways, mostly by just pushing through. I try to focus on the present, telling myself that this moment, this struggle, isn't forever. But it's hard not to feel like I'm living in a system that's designed to keep me down. I see the news, hear the talk about the economy getting worse, and I can't help but feel that I'm powerless in all of this. The rent keeps going up, my student loan payments are creeping back into my life, and every new bill feels like a weight I wasn't prepared for. It's like the world keeps moving forward while I'm stuck trying to keep up. But even in all of this, there's a part of me that won't give up. I think about the future, what it could look like if things change. Maybe I can get a better job, or maybe I'll find a way to make my side hustle work. Maybe, one day, I'll get to travel, own a home, do all the things I used to dream of. But that future feels so distant right now. It's hard to hold on to hope when everything feels so uncertain. At the end of the day, I just want peace. I want a life where I don't have to worry constantly, where I can live without that nagging feeling that it's all going to fall apart. I don't want to keep putting off the things that matter, the things that make me happy. But for now, I keep moving forward, even though it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Some nights, I allow myself to be honest with myself, to admit that I'm scared, that I don't know if I'll make it through. But then I get up the next morning, face the same fears, and push through them. Because that's all I can do. Just keep going, keep working, keep dreaming, until the day things change. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. I've been thinking about money a lot lately. More than I ever thought I would at this age. It's not the kind of thing that's supposed to take over your life when you're young, right? At least, that's what I always thought. But now, it feels like I wake up every morning already tired, just trying to figure out how to make the numbers work. And by the end of the day, I'm not even sure if I've made progress, or if I'm just treading water. I'm 26, and I've spent the last few years post-college trying to build something resembling a career. It's slow going, especially in the field I'm in. I'm a graphic designer, which sounds all cool and creative, but it doesn't always pay the bills. I'm not at the point yet where I've built enough of a portfolio to command the rates I'd like. So, I pick up freelance jobs, work part-time at a coffee shop, and try to balance it all, but sometimes it feels like I'm just scrambling to keep from falling behind. The problem is, everything around me keeps getting more expensive. Rent went up last year, then again this year. My roommate is talking about moving out, which is another cost I'll have to absorb if that happens. And groceries? The price of produce is insane now. I used to buy fresh fruit every week, but now I'm lucky if I can afford the canned stuff. It's hard to explain how that feels. It's not just that the food isn't as good, it's that you start to feel like you're losing something, you know? Something small, but it adds up. Like, one more thing being taken away. I've been looking at my phone more than I should, scrolling through social media, seeing other people my age doing things I can't afford. People on vacations, getting drinks at nice restaurants, buying new clothes. I can't help but feel like I'm stuck in a loop. Every time I see someone my age posting about their adult life, it hits me like a weight in my chest. Because I want to be there too, but it feels like it's not even in my grasp. It's like I'm always a step behind, or maybe a few steps. The thing is, I'm doing everything I can. I don't just sit around feeling sorry for myself. I hustle. I really do. But the system feels rigged, you know? The wages don't match up with the cost of living. I feel like I'm running a race with my shoelaces tied. I keep putting in the effort, but somehow it's never enough. Every pay period feels like I'm just making the minimum payment on an ever-growing pile of debt. Credit cards, student loans, stuff that I was told would get easier as I worked longer. But it hasn't. I remember when I was younger, I had big dreams. I wanted to move to a big city, work for a major design firm, live in an apartment that felt like my own space. I wanted to travel, experience the world, be a person who had the freedom to take off on an adventure whenever the mood struck. But that feels far away now. Sometimes, I think I've just given up on those things because they seem so out of reach. There's this overwhelming feeling of being trapped. The more I try to get ahead, the harder it feels to breathe. The idea of saving for the future seems like a joke. I try to put away a few dollars every paycheck, but when the unexpected expenses come, like my car breaking down or the doctor's bills, that money vanishes in an instant. It's like building a sandcastle with water instead of sand. When I was in high school, the future seemed wide open. The possibilities were endless, and I was excited about what I could do, where I could go, and who I could become. Now, I look at my bank account and feel like I'm carrying the weight of an anchor around my neck. Every month, it's a game of prioritization. Do I pay the rent on time, or do I wait until next week and risk late fees? Do I fill up the gas tank, or do I save that last bit of cash for groceries? Every choice feels like it has consequences, and they're not the good kind. But it's not just the money that gets to me. It's the stress. It creeps into everything. It's in the way I sleep at night, restless, tossing and turning, wondering if I'm ever going to catch a break. It's in my relationships too. I've stopped going out with friends as much. Not because I don't want to, but because I can't afford it. And honestly, sometimes I just feel embarrassed. Like they don't understand. I know they don't mean it, but it's hard not to feel like I'm falling behind, like I'm the one who's failing. It's not just the lack of money that's the hardest part. It's the emotional weight. I've put off my dreams, maybe even forgotten some of them, because I can't afford them. I wanted to take a year off and travel after college. I wanted to learn how to play guitar and write music. I wanted to start a blog about design, but it felt too risky, like I couldn't afford to spend the time on something that might not pay off. So, I've settled into this routine of just getting by. I don't even know how to talk about this sometimes. People don't want to hear it, or at least, I don't think they do. We're all in our own struggles, aren't we? But lately, I've been wondering if anyone else feels the same way. Do they lie awake at night, calculating their bank account balance in their heads? Do they feel this sense of constant pressure to keep moving, to keep working, even when it feels like nothing is moving forward? I try to remind myself that I'm not alone. I try to focus on small wins, the freelance project I finished, the one client who came back for more work, but honestly, it's hard not to feel like I'm running on empty. I've learned to cope in little ways. I buy a cheap candle every now and then to make my apartment feel nicer. I'll take a walk in the park to clear my head. Sometimes I'll call my mom, even though I don't want to admit to her how much I'm struggling. But those things don't solve the problem, not really. They just give me a brief moment of relief before reality sets back in. I'm trying to stay hopeful. I really am. But sometimes, I wonder if the dream I had for my future was just that, a dream. Maybe it was never meant to be my reality. Maybe I'm just not built for the life I imagined. Maybe I was naive to think I could make it as a designer without a safety net. But then again, I keep going. I keep pushing. Because even though the system feels like it's rigged, even though I feel stuck, I know that giving up isn't the answer. It's just hard to see the way out when everything around me feels like a maze of bills and responsibilities. Maybe one day I'll make it. Maybe I'll look back on this period and think it was just part of the process. Maybe I'll get to travel, or buy the apartment I've always dreamed of. Maybe those things will come, but right now, I'm just trying to make it through today. I just want to breathe without the weight of financial pressure hanging over me. Is that too much to ask? I don't know. But right now, all I can do is keep going. Keep hustling. Keep hoping that, someday, I'll make it to the other side. It's 3 a.m., and I'm lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. The room is dark except for the faint light from my phone, which is propped up on the nightstand. I've been doing this a lot lately, scrolling through my bank app, refreshing the page, hoping the balance will magically change, even though I know it won't. It's a ritual now, and I hate it. But I do it anyway. The numbers on the screen always feel like a punch to the stomach. I know it's a trap, this constant cycle of working hard, barely making enough, and then watching everything I earn get swallowed up by bills, groceries, rent, and every other expense that feels like it's growing faster than I am. But there's no other way. What other choice do I have? The reality of being a young adult in this economy feels suffocating. I had dreams once. Big ones. I wanted to travel, see the world, maybe even start a business of my own. I pictured myself living in a cozy apartment I could actually decorate, buying things without checking the price tag, going out for dinner without thinking twice about how much it'll cost. But now, it's a joke. Those dreams seem so distant, almost laughable, when I'm just trying to get through the week without wondering how I'm going to make it to the next paycheck. I don't know what it is that makes this whole situation worse, whether it's the bills that never stop coming, or the way people keep telling me, just work harder, just hustle more, but the truth is, I'm already exhausted. I work 2 jobs, and even then, it's not enough. It's like I'm running on a treadmill, pushing myself harder and harder, but no matter how fast I go, I'm still stuck in the same place. I try not to talk about it. I don't want to burden anyone, and I don't want them to think I'm ungrateful. After all, I'm lucky to have a job, right? People would probably say I should be thankful for the opportunities one have. And maybe they're right. But what they don't understand is that feeling thankful doesn't change the fact that every month, I'm scraping by. When I go grocery shopping, I try to make the most of it. I'll stand in the aisles, counting pennies in my head, weighing whether it's better to buy the cheaper brand of pasta or stretch my budget for the name brand. I wonder if people see me staring at the prices, if they know I'm figuring out how much I can afford without going over my balance. If I'm honest, it's humiliating. It makes me feel like I'm failing. And then there's rent. I don't know how anyone does it. It feels like it's only a matter of time before I'm priced out of the apartment I can barely afford now. I've already had to cut back on so many things to make ends meet. I don't go out anymore, not for fun at least. I can't remember the last time I bought myself something just because I wanted it. Everything is a sacrifice. If I had $5 to spend after paying my bills, I feel like I'm on top of the world. But I know it's temporary. It's a fleeting moment of relief before the next set of bills hits. The worst part is that I don't even know if it's ever going to get better. Every time I think I'm starting to catch my breath, something else comes up. Car maintenance, a medical bill, an emergency trip home, life is constantly throwing curveballs that I can't afford to dodge. There are days when I feel like I'm drowning in expenses, and no matter how many hours I work, it's never enough. I can't keep up. I've started feeling guilty about the things I want. Not that I can even afford them, but just wanting them in the first place feels like a luxury. I'd like to take a trip to the beach, maybe escape for a weekend. I'd love to take a class or learn something new, but the price tag always tells me no. There are times when I scroll through Instagram and see people living their best lives, traveling to exotic places, eating out at fancy restaurants, and I wonder how they do it. How are they making it look so easy? Are they struggling in silence too? Or am I just out of touch with what it takes to make it in this world? Sometimes, it gets to the point where I can't even focus. I'll be at work, and I'll catch myself zoning out, my mind replaying the bills I haven't paid, the things I still need to buy, the things I'll never get to do. I can't concentrate on my work, and that only adds to the pressure. If I screw up, I could lose my job. If I lose my job, I'll have no income. I'll be homeless. I don't let myself go there, but the thought hovers like a dark cloud, always just on the edge of my awareness. The fear of not being able to make it to the next month weighs on me constantly. It's not that I'm lazy, I'm working harder than ever, but it feels like the world is set up for me to fail. Every time I think I'm getting ahead, something knocks me down. I used to have a vision for the future, a plan for where I wanted to be in 5 years. Now, I can't even picture tomorrow without feeling like I'm barely keeping it together. I've started having conversations with my friends about money, but it's not easy. They don't mean to make me feel bad, but sometimes it's hard not to. They'll talk about their vacations or buying a house, and I'll just nod along, pretending I'm fine, when really, I'm struggling to keep my head above water. I feel like I'm stuck in a system that doesn't give me the chance to get out. Every time I think I might be able to move up, the goalposts shift. I tell myself that things will get better someday. That maybe, just maybe, I'll get a break. But deep down, I don't know. I don't know if things will ever change. I don't know if I'll ever get to live the life I imagined. I just know I'm doing my best to survive, and I hope that's enough. So, I keep going. I keep waking up, going to work, paying the bills, and hoping that someday, things will feel different. I keep telling myself that the small wins, finding a couple of extra dollars to put away for a rainy day or managing to skip buying coffee for a week, will eventually add up. I hold on to that hope because it's the only thing I can control. It's the only thing I have left to cling to. But some nights, like tonight, when everything is quiet except for the weight of my own thoughts, I can't help but wonder if it will ever get better. Or if this is just the way life is now. I hope I'm wrong. I hope someday I'll look back on this and see it as just a phase. But for now, all I can do is keep moving forward, one step at a time, even if the road ahead feels impossibly long. Maybe that's all I can do. I wake up early, like I always do, but today is different. The morning sunlight is just starting to creep through the blinds, and I can't seem to get comfortable. I roll over, staring at the ceiling for a minute, thinking about everything that's waiting for me. Rent is due in a week, the electric bill is higher than usual, and my credit card balance is slowly creeping up despite all the promises I made to myself that I'd stop overspending. But no matter how hard I try, it feels like I'm stuck in a cycle I can't escape from. It's strange how something as simple as money can consume so much of your life, and yet, no matter how many hours I work or how much I budget, I never seem to get ahead. I thought I'd have it figured out by now. I'm 26, graduated college a few years ago, and I have a stable job. But the truth is, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and some months, even that feels like a stretch. Every decision I make is impacted by money. The thought of going out with friends, ordering food, or buying something I need, everything comes with a price tag that feels more and more difficult to swallow. I can't even get a haircut without stressing over it. Each purchase is an internal debate. Do I really need this? Can I justify it? How long will it take to pay off? It's exhausting. And when I do decide to buy something, like a new jacket for work or a decent pair of shoes, it's with the knowledge that I'll have to make sacrifices elsewhere. It's like a never-ending game of balancing a stack of dominoes. If I move one thing, the whole system collapses. I've tried to cut back. I stopped ordering takeout and started cooking at home more often. I swapped my gym membership for at-home workouts, and I canceled a few subscriptions that I barely used. But it never feels like enough. The rent goes up every year, even though my salary hasn't budged much. Gas prices rise, groceries cost more, and utilities seem to be going up every time I open a bill. The world is getting more expensive, and yet my income isn't growing at the same rate. It's like I'm stuck on a treadmill, running faster and faster but never getting anywhere. Every time I think I'm getting ahead, something else pops up. Like last month when my car broke down, suddenly I had to pay for repairs, which set me back. Or when I had to pay for a last-minute doctor's visit because I couldn't avoid it any longer. These aren't luxuries. They're necessities. But they feel like setbacks. Every unexpected expense is like a punch to the gut. Emotionally, it's draining. It's hard to stay optimistic when you feel like you're drowning in debt. And it's hard to explain this constant anxiety to people who don't understand what it's like. On paper, I should be fine. I have a job. I have a roof over my head. But it's the little things, the nagging worry in the back of my mind that one emergency, one big expense, could tip me over the edge. Some days I'm angry. Angry that I worked so hard in school, that I sacrificed so much to get a degree and land a decent job, and yet I still feel like I'm just scraping by. I thought the point of all that work was to build something better for myself, to have a sense of security, to not have to worry about the next paycheck. But instead, I'm constantly anxious about how I'll make it to the end of the month. Then there's the shame. Shame that I'm not where I thought I'd be. I scroll through social media, and it seems like everyone else has it together. My friends are posting pictures from vacations, buying houses, getting married, and I can't help but feel like I'm being left behind. I want to be happy for them, I truly do, but there's always that little voice in the back of my head that says, why can't that be you? It's like I'm caught in a race I can't win. Everyone else is moving forward, and I'm stuck, constantly treading water. I dream about the future, about a time when I don't have to think twice before making a purchase, when I can travel without guilt, when I can live in a home that doesn't feel like a temporary space. But it feels so far away. How can I plan for a future when I can barely get through today? But I try to keep going. I push through because what else is there to do? I have no choice but to keep moving forward. Some days, that's the only thing I can do: get out of bed, go to work, keep paying the bills, and hope that something changes. And sometimes, when I'm not buried in numbers or panic, I can catch a glimpse of something better. A future where I don't have to be afraid of bills piling up, a future where I can do things that bring me joy, travel, take time off, buy something I need without a second thought. That future feels distant, but it's what keeps me going. I hold on to it like a thread in the dark, because without that hope, I don't know how I'd make it through. I cope in small ways. I've learned to be kind to myself when the stress feels too much. I remind myself that this is temporary, that the struggle will pass. I reach out to friends when I need to vent, and I try to focus on the things I can control. I remind myself that I'm doing the best I can, and sometimes, that's enough. But I still feel the pressure, the weight of it all. The frustration of trying so hard to stay afloat, but always feeling like I'm sinking. I don't have all the answers, and I don't know what the future holds, but I know one thing: I'll keep fighting for it. Because, eventually, something will change. Or at least, I hope it will. I wake up to my alarm blaring at 6:30 a.m., but I don't really want to get out of bed. I never want to get out of bed. The warm comforter around me feels like the only thing I can rely on these days. My phone buzzes, and I glance at it. A notification from my bank app. I hesitate before opening it, already knowing what it will say. I should just ignore it, but I can't. The number is smaller than I'd like, smaller than I need. I've learned to budget carefully, to stretch every dollar like it's the last one I'll ever get. But it's never enough. It's never even close to enough. I scroll through my bank statements, feeling the weight of the pressure settle over me, suffocating me a little more each day. Rent's due in a week. I need gas. I've got bills piling up. And even with all the overtime, I still don't know how I'm going to make it to the end of the month. I've had friends say, "Don't worry, things will get better soon." Things always do. But they don't. The rent keeps rising, groceries keep getting more expensive, and gas prices? Don't even get me started. It's like every time I think I'm starting to get a grip, everything shifts just a little bit out of reach again. I pull myself out of bed, feeling the weight of exhaustion settle into my bones. It's not just the physical tiredness anymore. It's the emotional fatigue that eats away at me all day long. The anxiety, the worry, the constant feeling of being on the edge of something. I have to force myself to get dressed, nothing fancy, just the same jeans I've been wearing for the last few days and a sweater that's starting to look a little worn. It's hard to find the motivation to look presentable when I'm not sure how I'll make it through the next week. I grab a granola bar for breakfast because it's the cheapest option, even though it doesn't fill me up. I could make coffee, but the coffee maker is broken, and I don't have the money to fix it. I'll have to survive on the free cups of coffee from work for now. It's a minor inconvenience, but it stings more than it should. A broken coffee maker seems like a small thing, but it feels like another reminder that things aren't going the way they should. I get to work, and I'm tired already. I try to push it down, to focus, but my mind keeps wandering. I think about what I'll do when my paycheck comes in. The same thing I always do: pay the rent, cover the essentials, maybe put a few bucks in savings if I'm lucky. But savings? That's a joke at this point. There's no breathing room anymore. I'm stuck in a cycle of just getting by, and it's starting to break me down. I've had big dreams, or at least I used to. I wanted to travel, to explore new places, to live in a city that felt alive with possibility. But now, the idea of getting on a plane feels like a fantasy. I can barely afford my basic needs, let alone a vacation or anything that would give me a sense of freedom. I've been postponing those dreams for years. The thought of finally going to Europe, taking a solo trip, feels so far out of reach now that it's hard to remember why I ever thought it was possible. The worst part is, I know I'm not alone. I see the same struggle in the faces of my friends and coworkers. We're all fighting to stay afloat in an economy that's moving too fast. Everyone's trying to stretch their dollars, trying to juggle multiple jobs, trying to convince themselves that one day, things will get easier. But when? How? Sometimes, it feels like we're all just waiting for something to change, but nothing does. It's hard to stay hopeful when you feel like you're running a race with no finish line. I'm not the type of person to ask for help. I've always prided myself on my independence, on being able to figure things out on my own. But there are days when I think about asking my parents for a loan, or maybe reaching out to a friend, but I don't. I don't want to burden anyone with my problems. I've spent so much time pretending everything's fine that sometimes I forget what it feels like to be truly honest with someone about what's going on in my life. When people ask how I'm doing, I smile and say, "Good, just busy." That's the safe answer. It's what they expect. But it's not the truth. The truth is that I feel stuck. Trapped in a system that seems designed to keep me right where I am, working hard, making just enough to get by, and hoping for a break that never comes. The truth is that some days, I wonder if I'll ever feel like I'm on solid ground again, or if this will be my life forever. The constant stress, the constant worry, the feeling of being perpetually behind. It's exhausting. I cope by distracting myself, by zoning out on my phone, scrolling through social media and pretending that everyone else has it together. I know it's unhealthy, but it's easier than dealing with the reality of my situation. I sometimes daydream about what life could be like if things were different, if I had the freedom to make choices without worrying about the price tag attached to everything. It feels impossible, though. The more I think about it, the more distant it becomes. There are moments when I let myself imagine a future where I'm financially stable. Maybe I'll be able to afford a place of my own, not just an apartment I'm scraping to pay for every month. Maybe I'll be able to take a vacation, or hell, maybe I'll even start my own business, something I've always wanted to do. I try to hold on to those moments of hope, even when they feel like they're slipping away. But right now, it's hard to see a clear path forward. I can't help but feel like I'm in quicksand, and the harder I try to move, the deeper I sink. I know I'm doing everything I can to survive. I'm working hard, I'm planning my budget, I'm trying to stay disciplined. But it never feels like it's enough. And it's not just the money, it's the emotional toll that constant stress takes on you. It wears you down, piece by piece, until you're not sure who you are anymore. I tell myself that it's temporary. That eventually, something will change. Maybe I'll get a better job, maybe the economy will improve, maybe I'll find a way to make my dreams come true. But I don't know. I can't predict the future. I don't know if things will ever get easier, but I have to believe they will. Otherwise, what's the point of pushing forward? So I keep going. I get up, get dressed, go to work, pay my bills, and keep my head down. I keep telling myself that the struggle is worth it. But on the hardest days, when the weight of it all feels too heavy, I wonder if it really is. I wonder if the price of survival is too high. And I wonder if, one day, I'll finally get to live a life that doesn't feel like a constant fight. Until then, I'll keep dreaming. Even if I have to dream with my eyes closed. I wake up to the same heavy feeling every morning. It's not just the grogginess from too little sleep or the sluggishness that comes from my body resisting getting out of bed. It's something deeper, more suffocating. It's the weight of everything that's coming at me all at once: bills, rent, car payments, student loans, insurance premiums, groceries, and the list goes on. And then there's the quiet ticking of the clock that reminds me I'm running out of time to figure out how to make it all work. I try not to think about it too much, but the reality is, when you're young and just starting out in this world, it feels like no one really prepares you for how hard it is to just keep your head above water. I didn't expect life to be easy, but I didn't expect it to be a constant struggle either. It's like trying to swim against a current that's just too strong. No matter how much you paddle, you're always a few strokes away from being pulled under. I've got a full-time job, or what passes for one these days. It's not bad, I guess. It's in an office, not glamorous, but it pays the bills, barely. The pay's okay, but not nearly enough to make a dent in the bills piling up faster than my paycheck can handle. Rent, especially, is a killer. The city is expensive, and the apartment I'm living in, well, it's more of a place to sleep than a home. The walls are thin, the appliances are outdated, but it's all I can afford. Sometimes, I wonder if I'll ever be able to upgrade to something more comfortable, but I don't know how that would even happen. The cost of living keeps going up, and I'm stuck in this loop of barely getting by. I try to stay optimistic, but even optimism feels like a luxury I can't afford. I tell myself I'm doing okay, that I'll figure it out eventually. I mean, I'm working hard, right? Isn't that what everyone says? Work hard, and things will get better. But I'm starting to wonder if that's just a myth, something they tell you to make you feel like you're in control when you really aren't. When I first moved here, I had dreams. Big ones. I thought I could build a life that felt fulfilling, that I could have the freedom to travel, to explore new hobbies, to save for a future. I remember sitting in my tiny kitchen, sipping coffee, imagining what it might be like to have some room to breathe. To not feel like every dollar was already spoken for before I even spent it. Now, though, the dreams feel further and further away. Every time I try to plan for the future, I'm reminded that I'm still stuck in the present, treading water. I don't talk about this much with anyone. I mean, who would understand? I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. Everyone's going through their own thing, right? But sometimes, I wonder if anyone else feels the same way. The constant pressure to make ends meet, the daily anxiety about bills, the creeping sense of hopelessness when you look at your bank account and realize you've got more month than money. It's exhausting, mentally and emotionally. I find myself waking up in the middle of the night, heart racing, wondering how I'm going to cover next month's rent, wondering how I'll make it through the week without overspending on food or gas. It's a constant balancing act, and I'm not sure how much longer I can keep it up. I've learned to get creative with my finances. I shop at discount stores, cut coupons when I remember, and try to cook at home as much as possible to save on food. Sometimes I even skip meals just to make sure I can pay for the things I need. It feels ridiculous, but at the same time, it's become normal. I've stopped going out with friends because I can't afford it, and even when I do treat myself to something small, like a coffee or a meal out, I feel guilty. I know I shouldn't feel that way. I know it's okay to have small pleasures. But when you're constantly worried about how you'll pay for the essentials, those small moments of indulgence feel like they come at too high a price. I've tried to talk to my family about it, but they don't really get it. They live in a different world. They've got steady jobs, mortgages they've paid off, and all the stability I've always dreamed of. They don't understand why I can't seem to get ahead, why it feels like every time I take one step forward, I'm pushed 2 steps back. They tell me to keep going, to stay positive, that things will improve with time. But time feels like a luxury I don't have. Every day feels like it's slipping away, and I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to catch up. There are moments when I wonder if I'm just not doing enough. Maybe I should be working harder, picking up side gigs, hustling more. But the truth is, I'm already stretched so thin that the thought of doing more feels impossible. I'm not sure how much more I can give. I'm tired. I'm so tired of trying to keep up. And yet, I can't stop. I can't afford to. So, I just keep going, day after day, doing what I can to stay afloat. I've had to postpone so many dreams. I used to want to travel, to explore new places and meet new people. I thought I'd have the freedom to take time off work, maybe even work remotely one day. Now, it feels like an impossible dream. I've had to put aside my hopes for a career that feels meaningful, a life that feels fulfilling, because right now, the only thing I can focus on is surviving. And survival doesn't leave room for anything else. There are days when I wonder if things will ever get better. I've read the stories about people who work their way up, who start from nothing and build something great. But those stories always feel so distant, so unattainable. For every success story, there are thousands of others who are struggling just like me. It's hard not to feel like I'm caught in a system that's set up to make me fail. The cost of living keeps climbing, but my income doesn't. It's like being on a treadmill that's speeding up faster than I can run. I don't know what the future holds. I wish I could be more hopeful, more confident that things will turn around. But right now, I'm just doing my best to keep going, to make it through each day without sinking too deep. I hope that one day, I'll be able to look back and see this as a chapter one survived, a chapter that taught me something important about resilience and strength. But right now, all I can do is keep moving forward, one step at a time. Even if it feels like the weight of the world is pressing down on me, I'll keep moving, because what else can I do? Some days, I dream about a life where the pressure isn't so constant, where I don't feel like I'm suffocating under the weight of my financial struggles. But for now, I keep my head down and push through, hoping that someday, somehow, things will get better. Until then, I just hold on. I have to. I wake up every morning with the same tight knot in my stomach. The sun is barely peeking through the blinds, and already, my mind is racing, thinking about bills, payments, and how I'm going to make it through another month. I should be grateful for having a job, but lately, it feels like that's the only thing keeping me afloat, and barely at that. I'm 27, just a few years out of college, and yet, I feel like I'm sinking deeper every single day. The world around me seems to be speeding ahead, people buying homes, taking vacations, getting promotions, and I'm just trying to figure out how to make rent. It's not that I didn't try. I've worked hard. I have a degree, a decent job, and a steady paycheck. But the bills never stop coming, and my paycheck never seems to stretch far enough. Some days, I don't even know how I got here. I was told that if I worked hard enough, everything would fall into place. If I did the right things, went to school, worked through the summer, graduated with honors, I'd have a bright future ahead. But the reality is a lot more complicated than that. My rent went up again this year. I don't know how they keep justifying it, but it's always the same story: we have to adjust for inflation. Every time, I feel like I've been punched in the gut. There's not much I can do about it, moving isn't an option when the market is this crazy. So, I keep paying, and my heart sinks as the numbers on my bank account screen keep shrinking. And it's not just the rent. The cost of everything seems to rise while my income stays exactly the same. Gas prices, groceries, insurance, they all keep creeping up. And the worst part is that I feel powerless to stop it. I cut back on everything: no more eating out, no more streaming subscriptions, no more little splurges that used to make me feel like I had some semblance of a life. But no matter how much I cut, it's never enough. I'm always chasing the next bill, the next payment. I used to think that when I had a job, I'd be able to live more comfortably. But now, it feels like the harder I work, the deeper I fall. I work overtime, I pick up extra shifts, but the truth is, it's never enough. And it feels like there's always someone or something trying to take what little I have. I can't even remember the last time I took a day off without worrying about falling behind or losing money. I've forgotten what it feels like to relax without wondering how much it's going to cost me. My emotional well-being is wearing thin. It's hard to focus on anything else when all I can think about is how to make ends meet. There's a constant hum of anxiety in the background of every decision I make. Do I buy that new shirt I need for work or put the money toward the electric bill? Do I go out with friends and risk adding to my credit card debt, or stay home and feel even more isolated than I already do? The questions never end, and they always come with a sense of guilt and shame. I know I'm not the only one struggling like this, but that doesn't make it feel any less lonely. It's hard to talk about it with people because it sounds like complaining, even though it's my reality. I don't want to burden anyone, and I don't want to sound ungrateful. I have a job, I have a roof over my head, but it still feels like I'm not doing enough, like I'm always falling short. It feels like I'm invisible to the system that's supposed to help people like me. No one tells you how exhausting it is to keep up with the world when it feels like your feet are stuck in quicksand. Sometimes, I look back and wonder if I could have done things differently. If I had chosen a different career, maybe I'd be able to save for the future or live a little more comfortably. If I had made smarter financial choices when I was younger, maybe I wouldn't be living paycheck to paycheck now. But the truth is, I did the best I could with the resources I had. The economic system is stacked against people like me, those just trying to survive while everything around them becomes more expensive. It's like the rules change every year, and I'm always scrambling to keep up. I've put so many dreams on hold. The idea of taking a vacation, of being able to save for a down payment on a house, of having enough money to do something special for myself, it all feels so far away. My friends talk about their plans, their future goals, and I smile and nod because I don't want them to know that I'm just trying to make it through today. I dream about a future where I don't have to worry about bills, where I can actually enjoy my hard work. But it feels out of reach. And that's the hardest part, not knowing when, or if, it will ever change. There's no clear way out of this. Every day, I make small sacrifices to survive. I choose between paying a medical bill and getting groceries, between driving across town to get cheaper gas or staying closer to home because I can't afford the extra miles. And still, the anxiety lingers in the back of my mind, always reminding me that it could all fall apart with one bad break. I try to remind myself that I'm doing the best I can. I remind myself that there are people out there who get through this, and maybe I'll be one of them. But some days, that's not enough. Some days, it feels like I'm running out of energy, out of time, and out of hope. But then I remember something my mom always told me: don't give up when you're closest to your breakthrough. So, I keep going, because what else can I do? I just hope one day, I won't have to think about money constantly. One day, I hope I'll look at my bank account and feel safe instead of scared. But for now, I'm just trying to get through. It's 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, and I'm already staring at my phone screen. I've been awake for an hour, scrolling through job listings and doing quick mental math in between. The rent's due in 5 days, and I don't have it yet. My bank balance is almost as empty as the hopes I had when I first moved here, trying to build something more than just surviving. I got out of bed, grabbed my cup of instant coffee, and opened the fridge. Empty. That's been the case for the last few days. I keep hoping something magical will appear, like a carton of eggs or a frozen dinner, but there's nothing there except a bottle of ketchup and half a lime. I don't even know what I'd make with that, but the thought of going to the store and spending any money feels like a bad joke. How did I get here? I'm 24 years old, living in a city where everyone seems to be doing better than I am. At least, that's what social media would have me believe. My friends are posting pictures from vacations, celebrating promotions, buying houses. They're building lives while I'm struggling to piece mine together, one paycheck at a time. It's exhausting, trying to keep up with them when the numbers on my bank account only ever seem to shrink, never grow. A part of me is used to it. I've been here before, scrapping together what little I can, planning every dollar, cutting out every luxury. I live in a tiny studio apartment, a cramped little space where I can barely stretch my arms without touching the walls. The rent is too high for this place, but it's all I can afford without having to move an hour away from my job, and that just adds to the cost of commuting. It's one of those situations where there's no easy choice, just the lesser evil. Every decision is a compromise. I shower quickly, trying not to think about how much the water bill will be next month. Every utility feels like a secret punishment. I still haven't paid off the last phone bill, but I need it for work. I'm too scared to check my credit score. I know it's awful. Maybe if I just don't look, I can pretend everything's fine. As I get dressed, I realize my favorite jacket is fraying at the cuffs. I'm supposed to look presentable for my job, but this jacket has been with me for years, through interviews and crappy jobs. I can't afford a new one. I can't afford anything that doesn't directly contribute to keeping me afloat right now. I leave for work, walking the same route I always do. The city feels like it's moving faster than me. People rush past, each with their own destinations, their own lives, and I'm just here, struggling to keep pace. I catch glimpses of others, the ones who look like they have it all together, and I can't help but wonder how they're managing it. What's their secret? When I finally get to work, I sit at my desk and stare at my computer screen. It's hard to concentrate. I keep thinking about my bills, the looming deadlines, the fact that I don't have enough to cover everything. The pressure weighs heavily on my chest, and it's hard to shake the feeling that I'm failing somehow. I don't know if it's the economy, the job market, or just bad luck, but I can't seem to get ahead. Every day is a balancing act. I work full-time, but my salary barely covers rent, let alone groceries, transportation, or any of the little extras that used to bring me joy. There are days when I can't even afford to take a lunch break. I'll skip meals just to make it through until the next paycheck. I've learned to live on scraps, emotionally and financially. But there's something even worse than the hunger or the exhaustion. It's the feeling of being trapped. There's this underlying sense of futility, like I'm stuck in a system that's rigged against me. The cost of living keeps climbing while wages stay stagnant. Rent, groceries, gas, health insurance, it all adds up, and it's growing faster than I can keep up. I'm not alone in this. I know plenty of people my age who are feeling the same. But that doesn't make it easier. It just makes me feel like we're all stuck in the same sinking ship, trying to bail water out with our hands. I cope by telling myself things will get better, that this is just a phase. That if I keep pushing, keep grinding, I'll eventually catch a break. But there are days when that hope feels so thin, it might snap under the weight of my own exhaustion. I'm starting to wonder if I'm just fooling myself. I used to dream big. I used to imagine traveling, starting a business, having a place where I could finally feel comfortable, where I wouldn't have to worry about every penny. I wanted a future where I could enjoy the fruits of my labor. But now, I've had to shelf those dreams. I postponed them indefinitely, because the reality is, I don't have the luxury of time. Some nights, I lie in bed and stare at the ceiling, feeling the quiet pressure of everything I haven't done yet. I wonder if I'll ever get there. If I'll ever have the space to breathe, or if I'll always be struggling, just barely holding on. I think about the future, 10 years from now, 20. What will it look like if this keeps going? It's hard to stay hopeful when the weight of it all feels so heavy. But then, I try to remember the things that keep me going. The little moments that remind me there's still more to life than just survival. Like when I catch up with a friend for coffee, or when I spend a few hours reading a book in the park. Those moments are fleeting, but they help me hold on, even when everything else feels out of my control. I try to stay focused on the things I can change, like finding ways to cut back, or picking up extra shifts when I can. But it's exhausting. Some days, I just want to curl up and disappear. To not think about the next bill or the next deadline. But that's a luxury I can't afford. I don't know what the future holds. Some days, it feels like a promise, a distant hope that keeps me moving forward. Other days, it feels like a weight, pressing down on me, reminding me of everything I'm not yet able to achieve. But I'm still here. I'm still going, even when it feels like the deck is stacked against me. I have to be, because what other choice is there? In the end, it's not about how much I've lost, but about finding a way to keep fighting, even when the world feels like it's pulling me under. Maybe, someday, things will change. Maybe I'll find a way out. But for now, I keep moving, one step at a time, hoping that something will shift. I just need to hold on a little longer. Hey, friends! If you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. I don't know when it happened, but I started measuring my life in dollars and cents. The cost of every decision, every step I take, is always running through my mind. Even the smallest choices now have this weight attached to them, and it's suffocating. It's hard to explain to anyone who doesn't feel it, that constant pressure that never lets up, that little voice reminding me of how much I owe, how much I need to save, how much I'm falling short. I wake up every day with this gnawing feeling in my stomach. It's a mix of anxiety and dread, like there's a countdown ticking in the background, and if I don't make the right choices, the clock will run out and everything will fall apart. I still live with my parents, which feels both like a small comfort and a huge embarrassment. At 25, I should be out on my own. I should be building my life, establishing independence. But every time I look at apartments, I feel my chest tighten. Rent is astronomical, and even if I could scrape together a deposit, the monthly payments would drain everything I have, and that's before utilities, groceries, or anything else. I've tried budgeting. God knows I've tried. I've spent hours staring at spreadsheets, entering every expense, cutting down on the smallest luxuries. No more coffee from my favorite cafe, no more takeout on weekends. But every time I think I've figured it out, something new comes up. The car breaks down. I need new tires. My phone starts acting up, and I can't risk it dying in the middle of a workday. There's always something. It feels like the universe is conspiring against me, pushing me to the edge with no way out. Work is another constant source of stress. I'm grateful for my job, don't get me wrong. It's not glamorous, but it's steady, and in this economy, steady feels like a luxury. But every day I sit at my desk, I wonder if it's even enough anymore. The pay is decent, but it's not growing fast enough to keep up with the rising costs of everything. I'm stuck at the same salary I was offered when I first started, and every year, it feels like the world gets a little more expensive while I remain in the same place. There's a sinking feeling in my chest when I look at the paycheck. I know how much of it will be gone before I even get the chance to spend it. It's not that I'm not working hard. I've picked up side gigs. I've cut down on almost every unnecessary expense. I hardly go out anymore, unless it's for something work-related. Even my friendships feel like they've changed. I can't remember the last time I went to a party, or even a dinner with friends, without feeling guilty about the money I'm spending. I've learned to say no a lot, even to the things that used to bring me joy. I've stopped buying clothes that fit me well, even though I hate the way I feel in my worn-out wardrobe. I don't even buy books or music anymore, even though they used to be my escape. When I look at people my age, it feels like everyone is moving forward, except for me. They're traveling, getting promotions, buying homes. It's hard to be happy for them when I can barely afford to take a weekend off. I used to dream of having my own apartment, of living in a place where I could hang up my own pictures, decorate how I want, and just exist in a space that feels like mine. But it's been years since I've seriously considered moving out. The reality of it is too much. The rent in decent neighborhoods is beyond what I could ever afford, and the idea of living somewhere subpar just isn't worth it. Sometimes I wonder what it would feel like to live without this constant weight. What would it be like to go to the grocery store and not agonize over every choice, to not feel like I'm choosing between buying fresh vegetables or getting enough gas to last the week? Would I feel freer? Would I feel lighter? I can't remember what it feels like to not live paycheck to paycheck, and the thought of it almost feels impossible now. I've postponed so many things. Big things. Little things. That trip I've always wanted to take to Europe, I've saved for it a little bit over the years, but every time I get close, something happens. A medical bill. A broken appliance. A credit card payment that I had to put off because I couldn't afford the full balance. It's like this dream is just out of reach, taunting me. I've stopped talking about it to people because I don't want to sound like a broken record, always bringing up something that feels so far out of my reach. What hurts the most is the sense of hopelessness that creeps in when I think about the future. Everyone talks about the American dream, about how hard work will pay off, about how if you just keep pushing forward, things will get better. But the truth is, I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel like I'm getting ahead. I feel like I'm constantly scrambling just to stay afloat. Even if I get a small raise, I'm still falling behind, because everything else keeps going up. Rent. Utilities. Food. Healthcare. It never stops. Some days I try to remind myself that I'm still young. I try to tell myself that it's okay not to have everything figured out yet, that this pressure won't last forever, that someday I'll get out of this cycle. But the reality is, I don't know if that's true. And that uncertainty eats at me. Every time I hear about layoffs or rising inflation, my heart sinks. It feels like the system is broken, and there's no way out for people like me. People who don't come from wealth, people who are just trying to make it day by day, but seem to be falling further and further behind. Sometimes I wonder if I've been sold a lie. Maybe the dream was never meant for people like me. Maybe I'm just supposed to work, to scrape by, to hope that someday things will get better, even though they probably won't. Maybe that's just life now, a constant hustle with no real reward. But then I think about the little things. The moments when I take a breath and just appreciate the small victories. I made it through another month. I was able to pay all my bills without getting behind. I treated myself to a cup of coffee because I deserved it. I'm still here, still moving forward, even if it's at a crawl. And maybe that's all I can do, keep moving forward, no matter how slow the pace. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I'll ever get out from under this weight, or if I'll ever feel truly free. But I'm still hoping. I'm still dreaming, even if those dreams feel far away. And for now, that's enough. That's all I have left, hope and the belief that someday, maybe, things will get better. Until then, I'll keep waking up and facing each day, doing the best I can. Because that's all I can do. Every day feels like a scramble. I wake up to my phone buzzing with reminders, bills due, appointments to reschedule, and always the quiet anxiety that I'm falling behind. I try to push those thoughts away, but they're always there, like a cloud hovering over me. The world outside seems to be moving at lightning speed, people advancing, achieving, living. And here I am, stuck in a loop of surviving. I'm 27. I graduated college a few years ago, optimistic and full of plans. I thought my degree would be my ticket to the life I dreamed of, stable job, career growth, maybe even the chance to own a house one day. But somewhere along the way, the dream got a little murky. Instead of rising up the ladder, I feel like I'm sinking into a pit of endless bills, rising rent, and unexpected expenses that make me feel like I can never quite breathe. At first, it was manageable. My job, while not glamorous, paid enough to cover the basics. Rent, groceries, gas. I could afford to go out once in a while, buy a new shirt or catch a movie. But then everything changed. Rent went up. Grocery prices shot through the roof. The cost of gas became a joke. How could anyone have predicted it would cost this much to fill up? And each time it happened, I tried to adjust. I clipped coupons. I canceled subscriptions. I said no to happy hour and began buying store brands. But even those changes weren't enough. I don't know when it started to feel like everything was moving faster than I could keep up. Maybe it was the car repairs I had to put on a credit card, or the medical bill that came out of nowhere. It's hard to pinpoint the exact moment I realized I was stuck, but it's impossible to ignore now. I feel like I'm on a treadmill, running as fast as I can, but getting nowhere. My expenses rise, my income stays the same, and my savings account feels like it's always on the brink of disappearing. I don't know how to get off this treadmill. It's exhausting in ways I never expected. There's this constant pressure on my chest, a reminder that one bad month could throw everything off. I don't feel like I'm in control of my life anymore. Every decision, big or small, is dictated by money. Can I afford that lunch with friends, or do I need to skip it? Do I go to the doctor for that issue I've been ignoring, or hope it gets better on its own because I can't handle another expense? Every day, I make choices based on fear. Fear of not having enough. Fear of falling short. Fear of not being able to provide for myself, or worse, for the people who depend on me. The worst part is how invisible it makes me feel. I have a job. I work hard. I'm not lazy. But I still can't make ends meet. There's a certain shame that comes with that. I don't want to admit it to anyone because it sounds like I'm complaining, but this is my reality. I see people around me making life look easy. They travel, they buy nice things, they post pictures of their accomplishments. And I'm still here, just trying to keep my head above water. It makes me feel like I'm failing, like I'm somehow not doing enough. I try not to think about my future too much, but it's hard not to. The dream I had when I was younger, of owning a home, traveling the world, building a career, is slipping further away. How can I plan for the future when I'm not even sure I can make it through this month? I've had to put my dreams on hold, and it's not just about big things like buying a house. It's even the little things, going on a vacation, taking a break from the grind, maybe even getting my hair done without feeling guilty about spending money I don't have. The simple joys feel so far out of reach. I used to think I'd have more by now. I thought I'd be further along in my career. I thought I'd be able to save for the future, for retirement, for whatever comes next. But every paycheck feels like a drop in an ocean of bills. I put so much on credit just to get by, and it haunts me. I can't escape the weight of the debt, and it's hard not to feel like I'm trapped. When I try to talk about it, I don't always know how to explain it. It's not like I'm failing in some obvious way, my job is fine, I'm doing my best. But it's the relentless pressure of trying to keep up with a system that's built for people who can afford to take a breath, for people who don't have to calculate how many meals they can skip to make sure rent is paid. No one tells you how exhausting it is to be constantly worried about money. How it affects every part of your life, even your friendships. How you start to withdraw because you're too ashamed to admit that you just can't afford to participate in the things everyone else is doing. And yet, I keep going. Some days, it feels like I'm barely keeping it together, but I do. I show up for work, I pay my bills as best I can, and I keep my head down. But the dreams I once had? They're still there, just buried beneath the weight of survival. I dream of being able to relax without guilt. I dream of taking a vacation that doesn't feel like a luxury. I dream of saving for the future without being terrified that I'm running out of time. It's hard to keep the faith that things will get better when every day feels like a struggle. But I remind myself that this isn't forever. That maybe, one day, things will ease up. Maybe my income will finally match my needs. Maybe I'll catch a break. For now, I take it day by day. I cope by doing what I can, managing the small wins, and reminding myself that even if it doesn't feel like it, I'm still moving forward. It's slow, but it's something. I just have to believe that, someday, it will all add up. There's a constant hum in the back of my mind. It's always there, even in the quietest moments, like a low-level buzz of anxiety that never really goes away. If I'm being honest, I think it's probably the sound of my bank account draining. It's not that I'm terrible with money, I mean, I try to budget, I really do. But the reality is that every day feels like I'm running on a treadmill set to a higher speed than I can keep up with, and no matter how fast I go, I can't seem to stay ahead. It's hard to pinpoint the exact moment it started. Maybe it's been building slowly, like the slow creep of a storm on the horizon, until now it feels like there's no escaping the downpour. I remember when I first left for college, I was excited. I felt like I was going to change the world, or at least carve out a better future for myself. Back then, I could still dream of the future, maybe even dream big. I'd think about starting my own business, or buying a house, just regular milestones that felt achievable in some distant future. But now, I don't know. The future feels like this foggy place, a blur of uncertainty where the path forward is hard to make out. The economy doesn't help, of course. It's not like I don't understand the basic concepts, I get it. Inflation, housing markets, wages that never seem to rise as quickly as the cost of living. But when you're on the ground, living day to day, those concepts become less about theory and more about survival. Rent keeps going up every year, while my salary stays almost exactly the same. Every time I get a raise, if I get one, it feels like a drop in a bucket. Even when I try to cut back on spending, it's never enough. Gas prices rise, groceries cost more, my phone bill, my student loan payments, insurance, there's no end to it. It feels like I'm suffocating under the weight of a system that just keeps stacking the bills higher. I don't think people really understand what it's like to live in this kind of environment. They talk about making sacrifices, but when it's your entire life, when every decision you make is based on whether or not you can afford to do something, it's not really a sacrifice anymore. It's just living in a constant state of limitation. You stop going out with friends because you can't afford the extra meal. You stop buying the things you like because the budget is too tight. You stop dreaming about things like vacations or a better apartment because it feels out of reach. It's a strange kind of pressure because, on one hand, you're constantly trying to manage it all, but on the other hand, you feel like you're slowly being crushed by it. I've started measuring my days in small victories. Maybe I managed to get through a week without dipping into my savings. Maybe I finally paid off a credit card balance, but only after juggling bills to make it happen. Those small moments of relief feel good, but they never last long. They're quickly replaced by a new worry, a new set of numbers to balance. I think the hardest part of it all is that I feel like I've had to put so many of my dreams on hold. I always thought by this age I'd be on my way to something bigger, something more fulfilling. I imagined having more than just a job to get by. Maybe I would have had a plan to start saving for a house by now. Maybe I would have gone on that trip I've been dreaming about since college. I imagined that by now, I'd be comfortable enough to give myself those little luxuries that make life feel, well, worth it. But it's hard to hold on to those ideas when you're too busy just trying to stay afloat. The emotional toll is what gets to me, though. It's like this slow burn that wears you down. I don't talk about it much because it feels like complaining, and I don't want to be that person who always seems to have something to complain about. But inside, I'm exhausted. It feels like there's a constant tug-of-war between wanting to keep my head up, to stay hopeful, and just wanting to throw in the towel, to admit that no matter how hard I try, it doesn't feel like it's enough. I see people around me, friends, family, who seem to have it together. They've got their own places, their careers are on track, they're getting married, having kids. And I can't help but feel left behind. It's not that I don't support them, I do. I want the best for everyone around me, but it's hard not to feel like I'm the only one who's still stuck. Some days, it feels like I'm running in place, watching everyone else get ahead. So, I cope. I cope by focusing on the present. I remind myself that every small step forward is still progress, even if it doesn't feel like it. I've learned to let go of certain things, like the idea that I need to be on top of everything all the time. It's okay to not have it all figured out. It's okay to just get by, as long as I'm still moving. Still breathing. But it's tough, you know? Some days I feel like I'm one small misstep away from everything falling apart. If something unexpected happens, like a car breaking down or a medical bill showing up, I don't know what I'd do. I feel like I'm balancing on the edge of something, constantly afraid of falling off. There's no cushion, no buffer. If I get sick, if I lose my job, everything feels like it could unravel in an instant. I've had to make peace with the fact that my dreams will take longer to achieve. I used to think I'd have everything figured out by now, but the truth is, I'm still learning how to survive in a world that feels more and more expensive and unpredictable every day. It's not easy. And I don't have answers for what's next. I've had to lower my expectations for what I can accomplish in a given time frame, and that's a hard pill to swallow. But I try to remind myself that I'm doing the best I can. Every day I keep going, even when it feels impossible, is a small victory. There are moments when I let myself dream, maybe one day I'll have a career that allows me to thrive, maybe I'll be able to travel again, maybe I'll own something of my own. But I've learned not to expect that tomorrow. Instead, I try to find joy in the small things. A good cup of coffee, a walk in the park, a phone call with a friend. I try to remind myself that while I may be struggling now, I'm not defined by the financial system that feels so out of my control. I am more than just my bank balance, no matter how easy it is to forget that. I don't know where I'll be in 5 years. I don't know if the economy will improve, if my situation will change, or if I'll ever get to live the kind of life I've dreamed of. But I do know this, I'm still here. I'm still trying, still moving, still hoping, even if it feels like hope is in short supply some days. And that, I think, is all I can really do. Maybe one day the storm will pass, and the fog will lift. But for now, I keep going. I wake up before my alarm, a habit I've developed in the past few months. It's 5:45, and I can already feel the tightness in my chest. It's not the kind of tightness you get from stress, but more like a heavy weight that's settled in the pit of my stomach. The kind you get from knowing you have no real way out. I push myself up and rub my eyes, glancing at my phone. There's a new notification, another bill due today. The amount is more than I expected, and for a moment, I just stare at it, letting my mind race. I can't remember the last time a notification made me feel anything but dread. But I don't have time to panic yet. The sun isn't even up. I get dressed in the same outfit I wear every day, a faded pair of jeans, a shirt I've worn for longer than I should admit, and sneakers that have seen better days. I avoid looking at myself in the mirror because I know what I'll see, someone who's trying to hold it all together when everything is slowly unraveling. I can't afford a haircut, so I've been pulling my hair back into a messy bun, hoping it'll look intentional. I grab the lunch I packed last night, a couple of slices of bread with peanut butter. It's not much, but it's something. My stomach growls, but I don't have time to eat. I can barely afford gas, let alone a coffee on the way to work. The commute is another slice of reality I try to avoid thinking about. The gas light comes on halfway through, and I wince. I don't have enough to fill the tank. Not today. Not this week. Maybe next week. I'll have to stretch the fuel until payday, like I've done too many times before. It's a small thing, but it's the kind of constant, gnawing stress that never leaves. I've been working the same job for over a year now, in customer service. It's not glamorous, but it's steady, well, steady enough to keep me from sinking deeper into debt. But every month feels like a fight to keep my head above water. The hours are long, the pay is low, and the benefits are non-existent. My coworkers are in the same boat. We joke about it sometimes, the way we're all just one emergency away from total financial collapse. But it's not funny. It's just the truth. By the time I get to work, I'm already exhausted. The day drags on in a blur of complaints, policies, and trying to keep a smile on my face when all I want to do is scream. The weight of it all is wearing me down, piece by piece. It's not just the work that's hard, it's everything that comes with it. Every time I take a breath, there's a reminder, either a bill, a missed opportunity, or a dream I've had to shelve because I can't afford to chase it. The break room at work has become my sanctuary, the one place I can sit for a few minutes and just breathe. I eat my peanut butter sandwich, pretending it's something more, something better. But there's no escaping the fact that I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and the cycle doesn't stop. Some days, it feels like I'm playing a game where the rules are changing faster than I can keep up. The cost of living is rising. Rent is higher than it's ever been. Utilities keep creeping up. Groceries are so expensive now that I've stopped buying fresh produce unless it's absolutely necessary. The little luxuries I used to enjoy, going out with friends, having a coffee at a cafe, feel like distant memories. The most I can afford is an occasional frozen pizza and a soda from the corner store. I don't talk much about how I'm feeling. I've gotten pretty good at hiding it. People don't really get it unless they've been in this position themselves. Everyone's busy. Everyone's struggling. And when you're young, there's this unspoken expectation that you're supposed to be figuring it all out, doing things, moving forward. But some days, I just feel stuck. It's like I'm running in place, wearing down the soles of my shoes, but going nowhere. Sometimes, I let myself think about the future, about where I thought I'd be by now. I had dreams once. Big ones. I wanted to travel. I wanted to take a year off to write. I wanted to live somewhere with a view of the ocean, maybe even start a little business of my own. But those dreams have become faint echoes, buried beneath the weight of rent, bills, and the constant fear of the next emergency. I've had to push those dreams aside, more times than I can count. Each time a bill comes in or an unexpected expense arises, I can't help but feel that sting, the reminder that everything I want is out of reach. I tell myself it's temporary. That it'll get better, that one day I'll have the money I need to do something other than survive. But deep down, I'm not sure that day is coming. Not soon, anyway. It's hard to talk about how I feel because I don't want to seem like I'm complaining. I don't want to be that person, the one who seems ungrateful or lazy. I work hard. I work all the time. But the hours don't seem to translate into progress. They don't seem to help me move forward. By the time I get home at night, I'm too tired to do anything other than fall onto the couch. I'll scroll through my phone for a while, looking at pictures of places I want to visit or dreams I used to have, and then I'll put the phone down. Maybe I'll write in my journal, though most days I can't even summon the energy for that. I've stopped setting goals for myself because every time I do, something happens that derails them. The bills pile up, one after the other. I try to prioritize. I'll pay the rent, the phone bill, and maybe part of the car payment. The rest gets pushed off for another week. Another month. And every time I make a decision like that, I feel this creeping sense of guilt, like I'm failing. Like I'm somehow responsible for not being able to keep it all together. I tell myself that I'll figure it out. I'll make more money eventually. Maybe I'll get a better job. Maybe I'll finally be able to move out of my tiny apartment and into a place that feels like home. But that hope feels fragile, like it could break at any moment. I don't know what the future holds. I'm not even sure what I want anymore. I just want to breathe. I just want to feel like I'm not drowning, like the next wave won't knock me down again. But it always feels like the next wave is already coming. Some days, I think I can keep going. I tell myself that all of this is temporary, that I just have to hang on. But on other days, I wonder if this is just how life is now, and if the dreams I once had were never meant to come true. I hope that one day, things will be different. But for now, I'm just trying to make it through today. I wake up every morning with a knot in my stomach. The alarm clock's persistent buzz reminds me that it's another day I have to face. Not in a good way, not in a let's tackle the world kind of way, but in a how am I going to make this work kind of way. I wish I could say I look forward to the day ahead, but the truth is, it's mostly just another round of balancing, squeezing, cutting back, and hoping that things don't break. I'm 26. I have a job that I technically like, but lately, it feels more like something I do to survive than something I'm passionate about. I don't know when it all shifted from excitement to exhaustion, but somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like I was building a future and started feeling like I was just trying not to drown. The worst part? I feel like I'm constantly playing catch-up. Every time I get close to getting ahead, something unexpected pops up, a medical bill, a car repair, a rent increase, and I'm right back to feeling like I'm treading water. I graduated college with the same dream as everyone else, get a job, start a career, build something for the future. The reality, though, is that things don't exactly work that way. I didn't graduate into a booming job market. I didn't get that dream job straight out of school. I had to take what I could get, an entry-level position with a salary that barely covers rent and living expenses. Sure, it's a paycheck, but after paying rent, utilities, and student loans, it feels like there's not much left. Every month, the bills are the same: rent, electricity, internet, phone, and the constant parade of student loan payments that never seem to end. I try to budget, but when everything's rising, groceries, gas, utilities, there's just no way to keep up. Some weeks, I find myself skipping meals to stretch what little food I have left, or telling myself that I don't need to buy coffee, even though it's the one small comfort I have. I still buy it sometimes, though, because it's one of those little luxuries that makes the day feel normal, and God knows I need a bit of normal right now. But the truth is, every time I make a purchase, I think about it. I check my account balance constantly, analyzing every transaction like it's some kind of puzzle I need to solve. Can I afford this? How much is left? What's going to happen if an emergency comes up? And don't even get me started on the credit card debt I'm building. I hate looking at it, but there are days when it feels like the only way to get by. The interest rate is killing me, but at least I can buy a few things and not completely fall apart. It's not sustainable, but it's all I can do. And then there's the emotional side of it. I can't even begin to explain how draining it is. It's like this quiet, constant anxiety in the background of everything. I can't remember the last time I felt truly at ease, without that niggling worry about how I'm going to make ends meet, whether I'll have enough to pay for everything, or what I'll do if something unexpected happens. It's exhausting. The other day, I was at a friend's house, and they asked if I wanted to go to a concert. It sounded fun, but I couldn't even consider it. I looked at my bank balance and felt a familiar wave of panic. Not only could I not afford the concert, but I couldn't justify spending the money on something frivolous when I needed to save every penny for essentials. It hurt to say no, but it was easier than trying to explain my constant financial stress. I didn't want to seem like I was complaining, but I also didn't want to lie and pretend that I was doing okay. I think the hardest part is how trapped I feel. I'm stuck in this cycle where expenses grow faster than my income, and I don't know how to get out. The rent keeps going up, and every year, I find myself having to move into smaller or less desirable apartments, just because it's all I can afford. I don't see how it's ever going to change, and that's the most frustrating thing of all. Every month feels like I'm being squeezed tighter. I make just enough to keep my head above water, but no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to move forward. I can't save, I can't invest in the future, and the dream of owning a house, traveling, or even just living without fear of the next paycheck feels increasingly out of reach. The emotional toll of all this is real. I sometimes feel like I'm carrying a weight around, and no one else can see it. Everyone around me seems to have it together, buying homes, taking vacations, enjoying life. Meanwhile, I'm trying to figure out how to make my rent payment this month without sacrificing the basics. I hate feeling like I'm failing, but sometimes it's hard not to think that way. I've had to postpone so many dreams. I wanted to travel, experience the world. I wanted to take a break and go somewhere peaceful, just to clear my head. I wanted to invest in hobbies that bring me joy, like photography or yoga, but the cost of classes is too much. I wanted to move into a place where I could finally have a little space to breathe, but I can't afford it. Every dream I have feels like it's out of reach. And the worst part is that I don't even know if they'll ever be possible. It's easy to say, just keep working hard, and maybe that's what I'm supposed to do, but the truth is, I don't know how much longer I can keep going like this. There's no end in sight. It's a system that feels rigged. No matter how hard I work, I'm always one step behind, and the burden of that is weighing on me more every day. I'm doing my best to stay positive. I tell myself it's just a rough patch, that it'll get better eventually, but right now, it's hard to see how. I just keep telling myself to hold on, to keep pushing, to keep going, even when it feels like nothing's moving forward. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm trying to stay hopeful. I have to believe that someday, the weight will lift. For now, though, all I can do is take it day by day. I didn't grow up poor. We weren't rich either, just one of those middle-class families that thought hard work was supposed to be enough. My parents believed in the American dream, even when it got more like a bedtime story than a real possibility. I used to believe in it too. But now I'm 27, and I'm tired in ways I can't even explain without sounding dramatic. It's the kind of tired that lives in your bones. That starts every morning when you check your bank account and wonder how much longer you can keep juggling bills like some circus act you never auditioned for. I graduated with a communications degree 5 years ago. I was excited then. I pictured myself working in a creative agency, maybe doing social media campaigns or branding for companies that actually inspired people. I did everything right: internships, volunteering, networking events. And yet, when I graduated, the only job I could get was part-time retail, then later a temp gig that ended as soon as it began. Rent was due before dreams. Now I work full-time at a call center for a healthcare company. The job is soul-numbing. I answer the same questions on repeat: is this procedure covered? Why was my claim denied? Most of the time, I don't even have real answers, just scripts. It pays $19.25 an hour, which sounds decent until you add up everything: $1,300 for rent, $350 for my half of utilities and Wi-Fi, $290 in student loans, thank you, 6-month grace period, gas, groceries, co-pays, car insurance, a credit card payment I'm barely managing to keep from drowning in. There's no margin. No buffer. Groceries are where I feel it most. I used to get excited about cooking, used to look up recipes and try new things, even if it was just pasta variations. Now I scan the clearance shelves like they hold buried treasure. Store-brand cereal, instant noodles, frozen vegetables. I have a spreadsheet where I track every single dollar I spend. I even had to cut Spotify Premium, which sounds minor but felt like losing a little piece of joy. And it's not just the money, it's the mental math I'm doing constantly. Can I afford to go out for a friend's birthday? Is this cough bad enough to justify a $45 urgent care copay? Can I drive to visit my parents this weekend, or will that leave me short on gas money before next paycheck? It's exhausting. And then there's the guilt. Like I should be grateful. I have a job. I have a roof. I'm not starving. But I'm also not living, I'm surviving. Just getting by. And everyone around me seems to be pretending they're fine, too, so I smile and go along with it. I've gotten good at laughing off things that hurt. Like when someone asks when I'm planning to travel or buy a house, or jokes about how millennials just eat too much avocado toast to be financially stable. Sometimes, I feel like I'm screaming in a room full of people who can't hear me. The worst part is how this pressure sneaks into everything, how it starts to shape what you allow yourself to want. I used to dream big. I wanted to move to New York, work in media, maybe write. I wanted to live in a city where things were happening, be part of something bigger. Now, those dreams feel like someone else's. Now, I just want stability. To not panic every time I check my bank app. To not get that twist in my stomach when a new bill arrives or when my car makes a strange sound. Dreams got replaced with goals like pay off credit cards and have a real emergency fund. I've had to say no to things I didn't think I ever would. Friends' weddings. Family reunions. Dating. Therapy. Even small things, like seeing a movie in theaters or buying a gift for someone I love. I hate that it makes me feel like a bad friend, like a distant daughter. And yeah, I've picked up side hustles, freelancing when I can find gigs, babysitting, even pet sitting. But that just adds more hours to already long days. I fall asleep most nights with my brain still racing, thinking about to-do lists, unpaid balances, future expenses. Sleep doesn't come easy anymore. Still, I cope. In little ways. I journal. I walk a lot, it's free. I listen to podcasts that make me feel less alone. I talk to friends, the ones who really get it. We vent and share tips, celebrate tiny victories like I paid my loan on time or I had enough left to buy almond milk this week. Some days are better than others. Some days I feel hope. Like maybe if I just keep pushing, something will change. I'll get a better job. A raise. A break. I still apply to things, every week, dozens of cover letters sent into the void. And I still imagine something better, even if it feels out of reach. But then there are days I feel crushed under it all. Like I'm running a race where the finish line keeps moving, and the terrain just keeps getting rougher. Like I'm stuck in a system that was designed to keep me treading water while calling it swimming. I don't want pity. I just want honesty. I want people to stop pretending this is normal. Because it's not. It's not normal for a generation to be one flat tire away from disaster. It's not normal to live paycheck to paycheck while working full-time. It's not normal to feel like life is something you can't afford. And if I'm being honest, sometimes I worry I'll wake up at 40 and still be here, still scraping by, still postponing dreams, still telling myself, just a little longer. But even in that fear, there's something inside me that refuses to give up. Maybe it's naive, maybe it's stubborn. But there's a part of me that still believes I'm meant for more. That I'll get there, someday. That something will change. So I hold on to that, even when everything else feels like it's falling apart. I hold on to it like it's the last dollar in my wallet. I wake up every morning with this tightness in my chest that doesn't quite go away, no matter how much I try to breathe through it. I used to think I was just stressed. Now I know it's more than that, it's the weight of everything. Rent. Groceries. Student loans. That stupid $94 medical bill I keep putting off because I can't spare the extra cash this month. Again. I'm 27, and I work 2 jobs. Neither of them is what I studied for. I got a degree in communications with the dream of working in public radio, telling stories that mattered. I imagined myself producing interviews that could change minds, maybe even change lives. Instead, I work mornings at a coffee shop and evenings as a receptionist at a dental clinic. My degree hangs above my desk in my tiny studio apartment, almost as a joke now. A $48,000 joke, plus interest. I'm not lazy. I know that's what people like to assume when they hear someone struggling, like you must not be working hard enough. But I am. I clock in over 50 hours a week, and even that doesn't stretch far. My rent went up $150 this year. Groceries are up too. Eggs, of all things, $1.05 a dozen. I remember when they were like $1.80. The other day, I stood in the cereal aisle debating between getting the brand name oatmeal I like or the store brand kind that tastes like wet cardboard. I picked cardboard. Every dollar is a decision. Do I take the bus and save on gas, even though it adds an hour to my commute? Do I skip lunch or have peanut butter crackers again? Can I justify seeing a friend for dinner if I order water and just an appetizer? I do the math in my head constantly, like I'm always running a quiet background algorithm: income minus expenses, minus emergencies, minus life. I haven't gone to the doctor in over a year. My insurance has a deductible I can't meet unless something terrible happens. My car is barely holding together, but I can't afford a new one, and I definitely can't afford for it to break down. So I drive carefully and pray that nothing rattles too loud. Social media is a strange beast when you're broke. I scroll past vacation photos, engagements, people buying houses. A girl I used to sit next to in sophomore year just posted a photo in front of her new condo. Caption said, "Blessed and grateful." I don't know how she did it. Maybe her parents helped. Maybe she got lucky. Maybe she's just smarter than me. It's hard not to wonder what I did wrong. I postponed so many things. Traveling. Going back to school. Even dating, sometimes. I don't want to bring anyone into this mess, into my half-life of maybe next year and not right now. I used to dream about writing a book. Now I can't even remember the last time I wrote for fun. By the time I get home, my body is sore, my eyes are heavy, and I just want to shut off the world for a little while. So I binge-watch sitcoms and scroll TikTok until I fall asleep with the phone still in my hand. The hardest part is how isolating it feels. Like everyone else got handed a map and I'm just wandering around, trying not to fall off a cliff. There are days when I think, maybe I'm just not built for this. Maybe I was meant for a different world, one where rent isn't half your income, where healthcare isn't a luxury, where your 20s don't feel like one long emergency. But then there are small moments, tiny sparks that keep me going. Like when I made my regular customer smile with their favorite drink on a tough morning. Or when my little sister called to tell me she aced her chemistry test and said she was proud of me. Or when I managed to save $20 at the end of the month and put it in the envelope marked someday. I keep that envelope in the top drawer of my dresser. It has maybe $140 in it now. It's not much, but it's something. A quiet rebellion. Proof that I haven't given up entirely. People say things will get better. That things are cyclical. That hard work pays off. I want to believe that. But I also think the system we live in isn't built for people like me to get ahead. It's built to keep us running, tired and quiet, too busy surviving to question why it's so hard to begin with. Still, I haven't stopped dreaming. Not completely. I dream about a little house with plants in the windows. A job where I get to create something that matters. Maybe even a dog. I dream about sleeping in without guilt. About health insurance that covers therapy. About not flinching when I check my bank account. It's not about being rich. I just want enough to feel safe. To breathe without that tightness in my chest. To stop choosing between groceries and gas. To live, not just survive. And until that day comes, I'll keep showing up. One coffee, one appointment, one cardboard oatmeal packet at a time. I never imagined that buying groceries would feel like playing a game of mental chess. But here I am, 27 years old, standing in the middle of a grocery store aisle, holding my phone calculator like a lifeline, weighing whether the extra $1.29 for the brand name cereal is worth it when I know rent is due in 4 days and my checking account is already gasping. I used to think things would level out after college. That was the dream we were sold, wasn't it? Go to school, work hard, get a degree, and everything would fall into place. But now I realize I graduated not into a career path, but into a game of survival, one where the rules keep changing, and no one wins unless they already started with money. I work 2 jobs. One is full-time at a nonprofit where I do communications work, writing newsletters, managing social media, stuff that technically matches my degree in English. It's the job I tell people about when they ask what I do. The second is bartending 3 nights a week. That one pays more than the first, on a good night, but it's the job I keep in the shadows because I still feel like I have to pretend I've made it. Together, my jobs scrape together about $3,200 a month, give or take. Rent alone takes $1 of that. Then there's my student loan payment, which just restarted after the pandemic pause, $320 a month for a degree that never got me a livable wage. Add utilities, gas, groceries, and insurance, and I'm lucky if I end the month with $50 left. Most months, I'm not that lucky. And that's without any emergencies. No dental issues. No car trouble. No friends getting married or loved ones dying or needing to fly home unexpectedly. No room for real life. The pressure is constant. It's not just financial. It's emotional. It's social. Every decision I make feels like it has to go through a filter of cost, like the joy gets taxed before I can even feel it. I say no to dinners out, to trips, to events, even to dating sometimes, not because I don't want to, but because I can't afford to say yes. I can't risk a spontaneous night turning into an overdraft fee. I remember dreaming about writing a book someday. I wanted to tell stories that made people feel something real. That dream feels like a relic now, buried under exhaustion. Most days, I don't have the energy to write a single sentence after a 12-hour stretch of emails and serving drinks. Creativity doesn't thrive in scarcity. It starves. There's also the shame. I know I'm not the only one struggling, hell, all my friends are navigating the same mess, but there's still this internalized belief that I've failed. That I did something wrong. That I'm not trying hard enough. Even though I know the system wasn't built for people like me to thrive, it's hard not to internalize the weight of constantly treading water. People say, just save more or cut back on expenses, like I'm not already rinsing out Ziploc bags to reuse them. Like I'm not budgeting my toilet paper. I have good days, though. Small ones. Like when I make a pot of chili that lasts 4 meals, or when my roommate and I laugh for hours about nothing. There's a kind of intimacy that comes from shared struggle. My people are the ones who get it without needing me to explain. We trade survival tips like recipes. We joke about little treat culture because sometimes the only thing keeping you going is that $4 for coffee once a week. Coping looks like tiny acts of rebellion, stealing back time for myself, even if it's just a 20-minute walk after work where I don't look at my phone. I journal when I can. I try to remind myself that none of this is a moral failure. That my worth isn't tied to my paycheck. But it's hard when the world constantly measures value in productivity and profit. I've postponed more dreams than I care to admit. I wanted to travel in my 20s, see new places, meet new people, get outside my bubble. But how do you justify a plane ticket when your credit card is already maxed out? I wanted to move to a city where creativity felt alive, maybe go back to school, even just take a class or 2 in something I love. But every dream costs something, and right now, I can't afford the down payment on any of them. Still, I haven't let go of them completely. I keep a note in my phone called Someday. It's filled with small, hopeful things, places I want to go, books I want to write, tattoos I want to get, languages I want to learn. They sit there like quiet reminders that this version of life, this grind, this pressure, is not all there is. I don't know when it will get better. I try not to measure my life by traditional milestones anymore because those don't seem to apply to people like me. Instead, I try to measure it by resilience. By kindness. By how often I show up for others even when I'm barely standing myself. If I could say one thing to whoever reads this, it's this: we're not lazy. We're not broken. We're surviving something brutal. And we're doing it with grit and grace, even if it doesn't always look pretty. Even if we're crying in our cars between shifts or eating pasta for the 4th night in a row. We are still here. Still hoping. Still dreaming in the margins. And maybe, someday, that will be enough. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos. Also, leave a comment, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.